My name is Nadia and I like to talk about crafty things that I get up to on this channel, and I'm so excited to talk about my autumn winter knitting plans today because it's been a long time coming. I've been like building up to it. I have so many inspo things saved up that I really want to get into knitting, so yeah, let's just get into it. Like the rest of knitting YouTube, I would love to knit a cabled cardigan this winter. This has been on my to knit list for the longest time. I've had yarn for it since the first year that I started knitting. And I've really appreciated the different videos that I've seen that have sort of compared different cable cardigans. One I watched was about this time last year by Future Fibre. But since then there have been a bunch more that I've watched that have sort of compared the benefits of different cable cardigans. And I, like those people, have also ummed and ahed about what's the best pattern, the right pattern for me. I used to have this H&M cardigan that was completely made out of polyester, and I think a lot of people had it. It was one of their like trend pieces. Ever since I had that cardigan, I wanted to sort of recreate it in a nicer fibre and in something that I'll, you know, be able to keep for a long time. The features of the cardigan that I'm looking to recreate here is the fact that it has a crew collar. It has a variety of different cable patterns in it, and it's fairly oversized. The gauge itself is fairly oversized. It looks like the H&M one, if you were to knit it yourself, would be sort of like a chunky gauge. I don't think I'll be able to get that myself, but something in a sort of fairly chunky gauge is kind of what I'm looking for. For a long time I was convinced I was going to knit the honeycomb cardigan because I completely fell in love with that pattern when it came out. I also was fairly set on the peated whiskey cardigan for a while, but I think that, like a lot of people have found, Petite Knit's recent release has just kind of hit it out of the park. Other honourable mentions are this diamond aran pattern. This pattern by Aegyo Knits, which I think would be super lovely steeped into a cardigan. I wish I was more original, but like the rest of the internet, I just think that the Dagmar cardigan is it. The Dagmar jacket. I have knit one item that was all over cables before, and that was also a Petite Knit pattern. And I just really trust her patterns, and I think it's something that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort. I think I just really want to be able to trust the pattern. I do think I will add some kind of modification. I think what this pattern is missing is just like one 8-stitch cable somewhere, you know, on the body and then also on the sleeves. I think I will add one of those 8-stitch cables onto the shoulder. I've seen a lot of people who have complained that the shoulder in the moss stitch looks kind of funny. It needs some more visual interest there, so I think I will modify it to add a cable here and then maybe also one cable on the sleeve. I think that will just turn it into the perfect pattern that I'm looking for, whilst also sort of keeping the ease of using a Petite Knit pattern. Another modification that I'd like to do is I'd like to do the neck from the cardigan number 9 with the double knitting before you get into the 1x1 ribbing, or alternatively I would just sort of fold over and do a folded collar. I want something quite chunky there. The yarns that I want to use I've had in stash for ages. So this is the woolyknit British wool 4-ply. This is the, I want to say like white nepp, natural nepp, something like that color. This is a full cone of this. I'm going to hold this double and I'm going to pair it with the drops flora in the white color. The match is pretty good. I just like two of these held together is a DK, and I just need another strand to sort of make it into the denser fabric that I'm looking for. The Dagmar jacket is knit on 4.5mm needles and aran weight. This I think will bring it slightly bigger than an aran weight, but I'm not mad because I think the denser the fabric for a cabled cardigan, the better. I kind of want that sort of like chunky, dense look. And I have swatched for this. I was just trying out the stitch pattern, given that I've never done a, what is this, honeycomb aran before. And also I wanted to see that the yarns looked okay together. I've yet to block or count my gauge, but I reckon I can make the modifications needed. If I'm slightly off gauge, I'm not too worried. That cardigan is the first on my list. I have another cardigan which is next on my list. It's another pattern that I've had on my to knit list for forever. I bought the pattern ages ago and just I never figured out the color combinations that I wanted. I've gone back and forth on these. I think it's like when you marry two colors together, you know, you want to get that perfect level of contrast and like quirkiness. But I saw this cardigan by Marius, I won't try and pronounce his last name, on Instagram. Yeah, and I think he nailed it. So I actually have the stripe over polo pattern, but I think I will convert it into the cardigan. They have released a new cardigan pattern, but I'm not going to go out and buy it. I'm just going to try and sort of reverse engineer the button band. I think it's knit at the same time as the rest of the body, so I'm going to have to figure out how I want to do that. But yeah, I'm really excited to finally knit this pattern. It was one of the first things I bought when I started knitting. And then the yarns that I'd like to do it in are also ones that I've had in my stash for forever. I have these sort of minty green colored ones here. This is a kid silk, this is an alpaca silk, and then I also have these sort of creamy rusty colors. This is also an alpaca silk. These are both from Drops. And then this is the Louisa Harding willow tweed, which I think is the perfect color for this. I might not be able to get gauge with these yarns alone. I might hold some of them double, or potentially I will add another strand to this, but basically this is the color palette we're going for. I'm also definitely craving to make a second stripe overload polo in sort of like a variety of colors, of like scrap yarn colors. I've seen a lot of inspo that it's really inspiring me, of just like all of these different blocks of colors, and I think that it's definitely like a dopamine inducing knit, being able to sort of pick out all of the different colors and like figure out what's the next one that you add. Berry Diamond does this really well, where she has knit the Aros sweater about 3 times every winter. And yeah, I just think it's like so fun to pair all of those colors together. I don't know if I'll get to this one, but I'm adding it in here because I think that would be a good like a post-Christmas knit. I think that would be really fun. This is definitely the year of the cardigans for me. I've knit so many cardigans, and I want to keep knitting cardigans. I think that they are super, super versatile. Earlier this year, I knit the cardigan number 9, and I'd actually like to knit it again with some modifications. I had no plans to include this, but I saw this inspo image on Instagram recently enough, and yeah, I just have to recreate this cardigan. It's so cool. So yeah, my plan is to knit the cardigan number 9 and pick up for the saddle shoulder the way that is described in the pattern, but instead of picking up those stitches to do the arms, I would just sort of bind off and then sort of pick up a new arm, a new set of stitches when picking up the arm, just to sort of create that color disparity on one of the arms. That creamy color, it looks like I could either do in tarja whilst knitting the arm flat, or alternatively I could just knit 2 pieces and sort of seam them together. I'm trying to think of a way that I could do it in the round. I think that that would be really annoying to sort of carry the yarn through it, so yeah, I might choose one of those 2 options. And then at the seams, it just seems like a little bit of red duplicate stitching or like faux seaming that I would add at the end. The yarns I'm planning to use for this, I could not find the main one. I think it's up in the attic. I probably have to go get it. But it's just a thrifted sort of charcoal grey yarn. I think it's like maybe from the 80s or 90s, like a DK weight, kind of scratchy wool. I think it's maybe called the Lucan DK or something like that. I have no idea of the origin, but it's the right color that I'm looking for. And to get that marled effect, I was planning on adding a strand of this. This is another woolly knit cone, and it's actually the sort of main yarn from this that I'm wearing right now. All those together just sort of create like a mottled grey. And then for the sleeves, I have this fisherman's wool that I picked up when I was in America. I was really excited to go to a Joann's for the first time. When I was in New York, we drove out to Connecticut, and I was able to go to like a big box craft store, which is like super fun. It was like a bucket list craft thing. They had some of the fisherman's wool. I've seen a lot of American podcasters talk about this, and it's so squishy. Like, I'm really excited to use it. I think the stitch definition is like really, really nice in this. So yeah, these are the yarns that I would use for that. Those held together would probably again be a bit denser than what the cardigan number 9 is intended to be, but I think I don't really have an issue with that with cardigans. I think it's really nice to have like a really dense fabric because it kind of holds its shape a bit better. The only thing is my cardigan number 9 came out really big, and I'm kind of disappointed with the overall look of it because of that, so I will definitely knit a size down, depending on what my gauge looks like, just to sort of counteract that and not have the same problem this time. Okay, now to get into the Colourwork pattern. Yes, I know, cables and Colourwork for autumn. How original of me. I've done a few Colourwork pieces before, and I've literally just bound off this, which is an argyle intarsia version of the vest number 1, which is duping this Ganni vest that was popular this autumn winter. If you would like to see more of how I made that, I have a whole video on it. Plug, plug, plug. But yeah, I'm just really inspired by a lot of the fairisle pieces that I've seen all across the internet and across the knitting internet. I think like a lot of designers recently have come out with some really inspirational fairisle pieces, and Daughter has some really beautiful ones. Louisa just released a campaign with your man who is 007. Anyway, he looks amazing in those campaign shots, and yeah, there's just some really, really beautiful inspiration out at the moment that's really inspired me to do some colour combinations of my own. The first fairisle piece that I'd like to knit is a brown circular yoked cardigan. Again, my main inspiration for this is this Doen piece, but yeah, I definitely really like the look of the Fayuhi cardigan as well. Is it a cardigan? Is it a jumper? I think it might be a jumper. I do think I will knit this in the round and probably steek it. I have a lot of cardigans I want to knit this winter, and yeah, I think that's enough purling for one gal. I have ummed and ahed over the patterns that I would like to use for this. I thought about using a sort of like ready-made pattern with a stitch pattern on it, but I do think that I want to sort of add my own take to it. And then I did also think about maybe using Maja cardigan pattern because A, it's free, I've used it before, I've adapted it before, and it seems like I could sort of plug and play the Colourwork in it pretty easily. But I think I might just take the plunge and buy the Strange Brew pattern by Tin Can Knits, because it seems like it's really adaptable. I know that circular yoke cardigans are, or sorry, circular yoke knits in general are really tough to get a good fit on. I've seen quite a few designers try and design them and sort of run into loads of different issues. So I'd really like a pattern that I could trust and that is like made for adapting. And yeah, I think it's helpful because it's got all of those different weights in it. I think it's like fingering DK and Aran, maybe. That I think would be helpful down the line. I think I'll definitely probably use it again. So that's the plan. The yarns I'm super excited by. So first of all, I have this Kampes. This is the Kampes 2-ply. It's a sport weight yarn. This up in Stockholm when I was there recently. I love this color. It's called Nature's Black. It's classified as one of their dyed colors, but I do actually think it's not dyed and that it's directly from the wool, which is annoying because you pay more for it. You pay more for the dye, but I could be wrong. Maybe this is also dyed. And then that color is just, oof. Look at her. This is a sport weight. I would probably hold it with another yarn of fingering. I just haven't been able to find a color match yet. I am going to Copenhagen in 3 days time, 2 days time. Very excited. So I'm hoping to pick up a affordable fingering weight strand that I can hold with this to make it up to sort of like a 5mm gauge, and just hope to color match it. I think that should be relatively easy. I wasn't able to find, like, usually I would turn to drops for like an affordable extra strand in a project, but they don't seem to do this kind of like chocolatey brown in most of their fingering weight yarns. So yeah, I will just snip a bit of this off and take it with me so I can color match it. And yeah, and go around Copenhagen yarn stores, which will be really fun. And to go with this, in the Doen example, there's quite a lot of white on the yoke that sort of breaks up the rest of the color work. So I will probably just use that fisherman's wool again. I think, yeah, I mean, it's the right color is kind of what I'm looking for. If anything, maybe it's a bit warm. So maybe I could use something more like this, which is slightly whiter and less creamy than this color is. But that's not a lot of yardage. I'm not too concerned about finding a match for that. And then for the contrast colors, I was thinking this is the kind of palette that I wanted to go for. This is the kind of palette that I wanted to go for. Maybe also with a cobalt blue mixed in, maybe also a green, I was thinking. Yeah, imagine that with the cobalt blue. Next up in my Colourwork wish list, I would really love to knit the bibi sweater by Spectacle Strick. I fell in love with this when it came out. The projects on Ravelry are super inspiring. And yeah, it just looks like an odyssey. Like, I really love the colors that were used. I think that orange is gorgeous. Yeah, I would be really proud to complete this this autumn winter. I would probably do a color palette that looks a little something like this. And yeah, I would love to do that sort of like light pink base yarn. I thrifted this actually like hand knit item in a charity shop recently, and it's gorgeous, but I think too small, and also there's a couple of fit issues that I'd say with this that makes me happy to frog it. I think it's made out of a donegal tweed. Yeah, like a donegal aran tweed. Those are quite common to find in charity shops here just because of the location, like the proximity to the mills and like the amount of donegal tweed that's available in yarn stores here. And yeah, I think I know which colorway this is. So if worst comes to worst, I think I would definitely be able to get more. I just have to frog this. I have already washed this, by the way, and checked over for moths, so we're all good. I think this would be a really nice base yarn. And then the sort of contrast colors, maybe a navy. I'm thinking maybe something like this, maybe something like this. I don't know, I can't remember what a lot of the other inspo colors are, but I will do a swatch and I will figure out what will look best. The only issue with that is that the bibi is a sport weight pattern. So I would definitely probably just choose to knit a size down or a couple of sizes down, depending on the gauge of my swatch, because I do know, I think this is an aran that can pass off as a DK, but it's yeah, more of an aran weight. And I think it would be easier for me to match yarns with it that were also either a DK or an aran than a sport. It's kind of more niche. Something that I would actually probably cast on before any of these, just to get it done in time for Christmas, is a gift knit that I'd like to do for my partner. He requested this cardigan that he saw online, he thought was really cool. I immediately thought of the perfect pattern to go with this is the Corshaven. The Corshaven cardigan. That's a women's cardigan, but I wouldn't see any issue with knitting that for a man. I would probably just elongate the torso and the sleeves, whilst also probably knitting like a smaller bust size. Yeah, and I think the yarn that I'd like to use for this is probably the Peer Gynt in that gorgeous sort of like lemony yellow color. Slightly less bright than the Target yellow, but I think I just really want to work with the Peer Gynt. I've never used it before, and I think it's relatively affordable. I can get enough of it to make a man's cardigan, and if I run out, I can always buy more. Yeah, and I just really want to try that yellow color. It looks really nice. I've seen other people knit the Corshaven before, and it looks like a bit of an odyssey, so I will definitely get that started as soon as possible. The Peer Gynt is something that I would also like to pick up in Copenhagen, so I should have that ready to go soon enough. And then the contrast in the navy, I have enough DK weight. I have some Night Drops Lima in a navy color, and then I also have another navy somewhere that I will just take from stash. Another quick thing I'd love to knit for him, or not even knit actually, but more like embroider. Even my coffee cup kind of has the inspo here. Yeah, if you've seen those Ralph Lauren teddy sweaters, they're so expensive, but we're like really big fans of them. I cannot bring myself to knit a really boring jumper to then duplicate stitch on top of it. So I'm hoping I'll be able to sort of thrift something in a navy color and then duplicate stitch this like adorable little teddy on top of it. It doesn't have to be navy, but I think navy kind of shows off the bear the best. Yeah, like you can like do a little outfit depending on, you know, like what type of bear. Like, you know, it could be an outfit that my partner wears, or it could be like an outfit from a TV show. Like, I think there's like so many cool customization options. And you can knit the little scarf. Like, those sweaters are adorable, but nobody's going to be paying like the 400-500 euro that those jumpers usually are. So yeah, I think that would be a quick one and a fun one that I could gift to my partner. Another quick gift knit that I would love to do, but I probably won't get done in time for Christmas, is this adorable jumper. I absolutely fell in love with this. I probably would knit this for myself as well, but I do think it would look way cuter on my nephew. The only thing is that I would be really cautious of what kind of yarn that I would use, just because his mum says that he's quite sensitive to wool. So I will probably the next time I see him bring him a ball of the wool that I'd like to use, and then see how he feels about it. I immediately thought of Drops Air. It's super soft. Unfortunately, it does pill a lot, but yeah, it's super soft, and I think it would be perfect for a kid's jumper. And the colors are just, I think, perfect for the Colourwork pattern that's on the front. The only thing is that it's a baby pattern, and my nephew is not a baby. He is 6 years old, going on 7, yeah, next year. So I think I would probably make it quite oversized, just because he'll grow out of it less quickly that way. And yeah, he's very far away from the sizes that the pattern covers. So I would probably just buy another kid's sweater pattern, and then adapt it with an intarsia pattern over the front of it. Hopefully not bothering the actual pattern designer too much, but yeah, I just think this one is so cute, and I just like, ugh. And then I could maybe like knit a matching vest and we could match, and it would be so cute. Getting ahead of myself. Okay, 2 more real plans, and then we'll get into accessories, and then we'll get into honorable mentions. Have I mentioned that there is absolutely no way that I'm going to get through all of these? But a girl can dream. I would really like to knit a sort of deconstructed, interesting jumper. And what that means, I don't quite know. I'm really obsessed with those like harnesses that I've seen people knit. So Lydia Morrow has like a little mini harness kind of crop top pattern. But then I've also seen people in the sewing world make them. This sort of designer inspired harness that Wendy sews, what's her name? Wendy has made, just has like a chokehold on me. Like, I always think of it. I think it would be such a like nice piece to add to your wardrobe. And also this Instagram person, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but has made this sort of like harness vest style piece with different pockets. I just think it's like a really flattering shape, and I think like adds a lot of visual interest to something that, you know, most of the time when you're wearing something on top, it's just very straight and flat. And people don't wear enough vests and harnesses these days, I find. And yeah, I'd love to make a piece of knitwear that's kind of inspired by that, and then also inspired by like weird Izzy Miyake designs from the 90s, you know, just a bit deconstructed, a bit strange. I'd like to design it myself. I don't want to use a pattern. I want to kind of try and figure it out. I've done a couple of quick sketches of how I would want it to look, and then yeah, from there I would just have to sort of figure out how to make it happen. I think the main shape of the sweater would just be like a drop shoulder oversized jumper, but then there would be this like knitted piece on top, or that would be sort of like attached to it, that would cover sort of half of it, and then half of the jumper underneath would be cut out. I don't know, we'll figure it out. I know it can be done. There's this project on Ravelry that I'm also super obsessed with. I'm gonna predict that I'll attempt this later on, let's say like February, March. Yeah, it'll be a lot of like, I'm guessing like double knitting, maybe some I-cord, maybe some seaming. I don't know, there's going to be a lot of like strange action going on because the design of the jumper will be so off the wall. I think the yarns I'd like to knit it in would just be super plain to sort of bring out the complexity of the jumper. I have this combination that I think would work really well. This is the Simply Wool worsted in the color Winnie. I picked this up again when I was in the States. I ordered a massive Knit Picks order to my friend's house because Knit Picks is awesome. You Americans are so lucky. Yeah, so I picked up quite a lot of the Simply Wool worsted because it just looks, the colors are just really gorgeous. And then I'd like to pair it with this Knit Picks palette in the color Oregon Coast Heather. I think High Fiber Knits has used this exact combination in a jumper, and I just think it looks super dimensional and super lovely. Yeah, I will knit up a swatch and see what we're looking at with gauge. I think then it'll just be sort of like a really plain but interesting, an elevated basic that I think will be a really good asset in my wardrobe. I'd also like to incorporate like maybe like some holes or some like a hole in the sleeve and then maybe like a strap coming through it. Dagan has that really gorgeous pattern with all of the holes in it. I think it would be so fun to try something like that. So yeah, wish me luck. That'll be a lot of like trying out techniques. Hey, you may have seen that I picked up some of this when I was in France. This is the Adriafil Zucchero Fierato. Again, just terrible Italian. But yeah, I'm really obsessed with this colorway. So it's like a sort of black halo around a white cotton core. And I picked up 4 of these, 175 meters, so I've got about 600 meters. And is that right? Yeah, a bit more than 600 meters. I've been thinking about it. I would really like to make a really big gauge chunky vest that's sort of like really airy with these big chunky cuffs on the neck and on the side. Maybe split hem, not too sure. I think it would be a really great layering piece. If I'm not in my cardigan era, I'm definitely in my vest era. Hopefully a quick knit. I'm thinking, so this recommends, it's a DK, it recommends 4mm needles. I think I would bump that up to at least a 6, maybe even a 7, to have something that's sort of really transparent and to get the most out of the yarn. And then I think like that sort of like over like a white shirt or a white t-shirt would be super visually interesting. I was gonna rant about how like there's only a few projects of this on Ravelry and nobody seems to have used it, but I was actually looking at it more and I think it's actually a new yarn, and that's the reason why. Because I checked back and there's now 5 projects, so I'm hoping to be one of those projects. And yeah, this is another thing that I'll probably try and come up with myself rather than use a pattern. Yeah, I've knit enough vests now where I think I could probably figure out, depending on my gauge, how to do it. Famous last words. I think this would be a nice break from all of this color. I think this is the only dark colored thing that I have here. But already it's like, hang on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
There's 10 plans, 8 of which are like full cardigans or jumpers. So yeah, it's not gonna happen, but we can dream. I will also add some honorable mentions in terms of accessories. The Wool and Beyond hat pattern that comes in her new book, I believe, is super cute. I would love to knit that. Using a lot of scraps and things, I think it'll make for like a really joyous make and something that you can get through kind of quickly. I mentioned a couple of videos ago and I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'd love to make a sort of crochet bag that looks something like this. I've acquired a few yarns that I think would be a good fit for this. And yeah, I keep saying I'd like to get better at crochet, so I think this would be a good opportunity. The Le Pull ruby scarf is another thing that has a chokehold on my brain. Damn it, I don't have them here, but I have a couple of yarns that I think would be a really good match, and I think it would be something like, it's literally if you just sort of knit in the round and then create like a long tube. I think it would be something that knits up really quickly, especially if you're using sort of like 5mm or 6mm needles. I'm hoping I have a picture of the yarns that I want to use here because I can't find them right now. I'm always toying with the idea of beginning a sweet shop blanket. Definitely not something that I want to finish by the end of autumn, but something really cozy that would be fun to sort of start, especially around like the Christmas period. I have so many yarns and I have a lot of scraps and a lot of things that I think would be fun to add into this. I'm really in love with a lot of the projects that I've seen on Instagram where they're using a color, like a contrasting color for every triangle rather than having like a base yarn. I feel like that uses up way more scraps, and I also think it's like just more fun. You just add more colors. I think it would fit in with my aesthetic in this living room and in our house. So maybe a long-term project to add to the list. The last little piece that I'd like to make is an argyle hot water bottle cover. I am the self-proclaimed argyle queen after having knit 2 things in argyle. I will claim that title. I've loved seeing a lot of people knit hot water bottle covers. I saw this one in a magazine. It's a Burberry one, which is like a purple, like a dark purple and yellow argyle. I think there's so many different colors that this would look really great on, and I think it would look really cozy on a bed. May make a nice gift for someone at Christmas if I can get it out in time. This is another one that I would like to self-draft. I know Penrose Knits has released a hot water bottle cover. I know a lot of people have hot water bottle cover patterns, but I think it shouldn't be too difficult for one, and I think adding the argyle as well I think will be relatively simple to do. But if I do end up doing that, I would consider sort of writing that up into sort of like a free PDF or something like that. Let me know if you'd be interested in that, because yeah, I just think it's really cozy. I'd probably knit it in like a DK or an aran again, you know, just like get that stuff out of stash. Tentatively, I think these colors would look good together. We could even do maybe something like this. Yeah, also adding in some grey I think would be quite fun, or even just something quite neutral. Yeah, I think with argyle the possibilities are endless. And yeah, I'm definitely in my argyle season. Honourable mention to this, or like these argyle cardigans that I 100% won't get to this winter, but are definitely tempting me. If I had more of this yarn left over, I don't know, maybe I could do it if I held it single with some mohair. Yeah, I would definitely consider making a all over argyle cardigan with, you know, like the light blue maybe repeated in some other colors, but it's just too much. It's too much. Things that I thought about making but no, I won't have time to do. The Esther jacket. I have this kampes in an off-white color as well, and I would really love to make the Esther jacket with that, but I opted to go with the cable cardigan instead of that. I think one all over texture white cardigan is probably enough for one season. And yeah, that one has been on my wish list for way longer, so I will opt to go for that. And another thing I know that I definitely won't get to, but has been inspiring me, is like a hand-dyed boucle vibe. Even like a sort of like half zip boucle jumper I think would just be like super fun. Love to find some of that alpaca boucle by Drops and hand dye it myself. I think that would make such a cute jumper, and it would be an affordable way of doing that hand dyed boucle yarn that I've seen a lot of. No, I forgot one. Okay, I'm almost done. Last honorable mention, because I have 2 skeins of this, and I think that I probably won't use more than one for one sleeve of a cardigan, of that other cardigan number 9 pattern. And I also have this in my stash. This is a donegal aran, I believe. It's like the multicolour nepp one. It's super dimensional. And there's a yarn company in Ireland that you can buy these by the cone, and it's like a 1 kilogram cone. So I use this to make the cardigan number 8, held with another strand, and I like that cardigan, but there's something wrong with the fit of it. I don't know what's wrong with it. I think maybe it's a bit too short, but then a bit too broad on the shoulders. So it just kind of like falls off my neck, or like falls off my shoulders. And so yeah, I don't get a ton of wear out of it. I have made the cardigan number 8 again since then using a Nora yarn, and I love that thing. So I usually opt for that one. And I don't think I'll frog my cardigan number 8, but I probably will do something with it. Maybe add elastic or cut it up or do the button bands again, or I don't know, something will happen with that. But in the meantime, I have quite a lot of this left. I think, I want to say like 500 grams. No, maybe more like 400 grams. But it's quite a lot left on this cone. And I'd love to use it. It's a really beautiful yarn. So I was thinking of the best way to sort of make sure that I could get a full garment out of it would be to hold it with something else. And I think that something striped, with this being sort of really dimensional, would be really lovely. I even thought as well, if I had something more like this nepp, then that would be really nice together in a stripe. But I think I will probably need to use all of this for the cardigan. And I don't have any other tweedy yarns in stash, but I'll think on that some more. But yeah, in the interest of trying things out, I did knit a swatch. I tried it with a sort of a 2-row stripe and then also a 4-row stripe. I think I like the 4-row stripe the best, especially since if I knit 2 stripe overloads this winter, then that's probably enough of doing like a 2-row repeat on the stripe. Yeah, annoyingly, I think maybe the best option is actually a 3-row stripe, which if I was to do a cardigan would be horrifically annoying. Yeah, maybe this is another steeked project. So I also held this with a strand of mohair, so I just used some drops mohair. So this I paired with the black drops mohair, and then the fisherman's wool with a white kid silk. I actually think this off-white is too white for this cream, and it looks a bit funny in the swatch. I think it was a good test, and I will think about this some more. Again, it's not really something I think I'll get to this winter, but it's fun to dream. I was just thinking about this the other day, so good to get that idea out of my brain. I knew as I was making my inspo board for this video that I was not going to be able to knit all of this by the end of the winter. I think it's really fun to gather inspiration, to have a think about what you might like in your wardrobe, and yeah, just sort of like iterate on those ideas. What I will knit out of all of this, I think for sure, the cable cardigan, the other cardigan, the sort of like multicolored grey and white one, brown fairisle yoke cardigan, I think those are for definite, and definitely the gift knits, or one of the gift knits at least. But apart from that, I'm not promising anything. I'm really looking forward to sort of getting cozy. We've had a chat and we've already agreed that that the first 3 months of next year, we are not going anywhere and we're not spending any money or going out or doing anything, because this year I think has been the most expensive year of my life. I mean, apart from the year where I bought a house, we have been very fortunate to travel quite a lot this year, and also to bring a lot of things into our lives, you know, even just in terms of like wool and yarn to knit from. So I am looking forward to sort of hunkering down at the beginning of next year and just getting cozy and trying to make the most of our mortgage, you know? We are also due to get married next year, sometime in September, so I would definitely love to do some saving up for that. To do so, yeah, I will definitely be knitting from stash and trying not to spend too much money, and hopefully getting some nice knitting done. So I hope you enjoyed this. If any of the dilemmas in here you have some recommendations, I would love to hear them. If there's a pattern that you're really excited to knit this winter, I would also love to hear that too. I love watching pattern roundup videos and like plans videos. They're some of my favorite videos to watch. So if you've watched any recently that you really enjoyed, feel free to link them below as well. Yeah, I hope you're staying cozy. Hope the autumn is treating you well. Do a bit of a test shot. Look at me. Thanks. Can I get a tail wag? Little tail wag? Okay. That's a good tail wag. Can Daddy come and look at her again? There we go.